Hi, welcome to Cup of Chocolate. I'm Shoko. In each episode of this podcast, a friend and I will be chatting and discussing listener-submitted stories and gossip. So grab a cup and let's chat. Hello, hello.
Where am I?
You are here. You are ready.
Oh my God, am I? Am I?
I don't know. Are you? Let's see. You have your pretzels.
I have my pretzels, and I have my sugar-free little beverage here because I've been good. I
All
haven't really been
right.
drinking sodas that much since September.
Okay, so we are joined today by MKNerd or Justin. You are a part-time musician, full-time ship poster.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So you are on Threads at mark underscore in lowercase MKNERD underscore. And then on YouTube, you have your music at capital MKN and then lowercase ERD music. Tell me about your music.
Oh boy, where do I begin? So, I guess if anyone out there from ImageLine is listening, please forgive me. I'm a good boy. I don't pirate music software anymore. It really started back in like, I'm going to say 2008. I was about like 10 years old at the time. I had discovered a program called Fruity Loop Studio and managed to. So how it works is that they essentially give you, you're allowed to download like a trial for it, and the trial basically gives you access to the full music program. I didn't really know much about music, so I was just kind of making like club music, like 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 stuff like that. And the thing with the trial though is that you couldn't save it, but there was a way that you could download like something called a registry key in order to get the full like access version to it. So
Mhm.
it was really just kind of starting off with making like old school like hip hop beats that would like sample like older songs. I always found the idea of sampling other works that already existed into like a new form of music to be very captivating. So between, I want to say, I had really started to get into it in 2012, at least, well, a little bit before then, but I didn't really upload anything on the what is considered now to be the music channel until 2012, and then have been kind of just making like it went from originally just like hip hop beats to kind of being more like trap influence, and then somewhere in the middle, I started making what's kind of known as like Jersey Club remixes. Are you by any chance familiar with Jersey Club remixes? By any chance, you know what that is?
I I don't know the term. I'm sure if I've heard it before, probably.
So to briefly explain, because I tend to over-explain, Jersey Club music is essentially like the main like root of like a Jersey Club remix is that you basically have like your syncopated kick beat. So it's a beat that goes like boom, 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 boom.
Hmm.
Like you may probably recognize that particular rhythm. A lot of songs that are coming out these days are starting to use influences from like Jersey Club music. As the name suggests, it's something that populated, that became popular in New Jersey, especially in like the club scene, and even has like influence from like Baltimore club music and whatnot. But I'm not trying to get into that. I That's typically what I make nowadays, just
Hmm.
Jersey Club remixes. In fact, the last thing that I actually released was a remix of the song 3D by BTS's Jungkook and Jack Harlow. So that's like my most recent work, and I'm currently working on another remix for Jungkook called Yes or No, which I still need to go back and work on it. I procrastinate like hell. So I will hopefully try to get back into it as soon as possible and get it released hopefully by the end of the year.
That's awesome. So we've got a song to look out for. Maybe for New Year's, that'll be
Mm,
like the New Year's song.
maybe get the clubs to turn up. Maybe get someone can maybe shake some ass before 2024 hits.
Yeah, there we go. I
Yeah.
love it. So, well, so Jersey beats are like, I guess your main thing right now, your main influence. What like do you have what are your influences for the I guess or big influences in
Ooh,
music?
the influences.
Yeah, or
That's a
like
very good question.
yeah.
When it comes to just remixes, anybody from like I guess this label called EMG or like
Mhm.
Empire Music Group, they primarily make a lot of Jersey Club remixes,
Mm.
like DJ Lil Taj or I can't think of the name, DJ Fluxbeat or like some other like artists that I can't really think of, but I always like remember the tags and whatnot that they drop
Mhm.
before like the remixes actually start. So in remix wise, like they are like my biggest inspirations. I know that a lot of like artists now are like also incorporating Jersey Club into their music, namely like like Ice Spice and other
Mhm.
like New York artists, especially because of the fact that they're like so close to each other.
Right.
Um, in terms of trap, I guess we could just be like your typical like Metro Boomin. Trying to think of other ones. I know that for like my older school beats would be kind of more like getting influenced by like Alchemists and other like producers and whatnot. The thing
Mm.
is though is that like I don't really look too much into that like particular thing like oh who specifically produced this like beat. I'll usually will just hear a song and just kind of be obsessed with like the sounds and whatnot, like listening to like particular like hi-hat patterns or like the snare or clap sound
Mm.
that they use, or like the 808s, or if they like use just like a regular like bass line in the song and what tempo it's what it happens to be, and kind of do it from there. So I'm really just like it's less about who made it and more about how they made it. Though if I could name probably my biggest influence for producing those kind of beats would have to be Timbaland.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
yes, Timbaland, produced the beat that you heard for "Apologize" by One Republic. Also
Yes.
made the beat
Yeah.
for "Pony" by Genuine. So
Mhm.
anybody that's here now on planet Earth, you probably exist because of that song. So be sure to give Genuine and Timbaland your gratitude. But
Absolutely.
just he does this thing where he like kind of like when he's trying to make a beat, like he makes the like the Michael Jackson did this too. Like he'll like make the
Mhm.
sounds with his mouth. He just be like like just making those
Mm.
sounds. And I think in some cases, I think I even remember seeing him record those sounds. And what he would do is basically layer sounds over it. Like Timbaland would use like very unconventional like sounds. I know in Pony, for example, I think he used the sound of like a car screech in there. And in "Are You That Somebody" by Aaliyah, he famously used like a baby sound in there as well.
Mm, 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 mm. That rings a bell. That's so interesting. I love when people experiment with music and sounds.
Mm.
Um, do you do much of that, like pulling bites from stuff that I guess the normal person wouldn't consider music and then putting it into your music?
Um, Honestly, I don't really try to go for like oh, this sounds absolutely strange. I'm gonna throw that
Mm.
in there. It's kind of just more like what catches my ear and would make like a really good like if I were to chop this up and like make it like arrange it in a certain like rhythmic pattern, would it
Mhm.
sound great? I did one beat like a while ago. I want to say this may have been about like 2 3 years ago, where I just like had like the I had like the everything like most it was mostly samples that I like put together and arranged to make a beat, so it wasn't like something that I like completely did from scratch. But I did add like my own vocals to it, so it was basically just me breathing, but it was
Mhm.
like like that in the background, but also like chopped up and edited to kind of give it more of like to give it like a bit more dynamic in a way. I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
like the proper
yeah. Oh,
term
that's
for it,
so
but
cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. That is on your YouTube as well. We can listen to
that
that.
beat is not.
Okay.
So what you'll find nowadays is you'll
Mhm.
still find some like older beats, but you'll also
Mhm.
find like some Jersey Club remixes and also like original rap songs that I've also have released onto the channel as well.
Okay, awesome. So everyone has to check out your YouTube channel, MKNerd
Yes.
Music.
And I apologize for not mentioning the rap part that I would have figured that because I have been thinking about like because I usually nowadays just like between like 2017 and I want to say even up till now like I write a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like only a small percentage of it actually gets recorded, and an even smaller percentage of that gets released. I think have only released like three songs this year, all of which are on my YouTube and SoundCloud account.
Okay. Is the SoundCloud also the same name as YouTube? MK Nerd Music?
No, it's so on SoundCloud, it's just MKNerd,
Okay.
just MKNerd.
All right. So SoundCloud, MK Nerd.
Yes, I SoundCloud hashtag SoundCloud rapper. Wink, wink. I know that's got its own negative connotations to it.
Oh, does
Although,
it?
yeah, mainly just because there are like, SoundCloud is a very
Mm,
accessible platform for people to be able to release their
I
music. It's
see.
only been a little bit easier now that people can actually like release their music on things like Spotify and Apple
Mm-hmm.
Music and other platforms by submitting their works through like a third-party platform and it gets hosted. I should know because I have songs on Spotify, but it's under my real name. Um,
Mm.
and there's one song in there which I wish I could take down because it's not good. It's a very bad song. The production is not great. The mixing's not great. The lyrics are a little bit they kind of clash with the overall meaning of the actual song.
Oh
It's just
no.
it's just not good. So to quickly give it a
So
rundown
we
because I
won't
don't
we
know.
won't advertise that then.
Well, we can okay. We could talk about it for just a second if we have the
Okay.
time to do so.
Yeah, oh,
So
absolutely.
it's a song called "Wanna Love."
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, I haven't given out my real name. You guys only know me as Justin, so you know my last name. Look for it on Spotify. Good luck. Um, so essentially, the song about "Wanna Love" is the idea of the original version is basically like this guy is like having a fling with this girl who's already in a relationship. And at
Mm-hmm.
first, it's kind of like, oh, the chorus is pre-recorded by another person because I used like a beat that already had like
Mm-hmm.
a chorus and everything. Um, and it essentially kind of talks about like, oh, I'm not trying to be in a relationship, I'm just trying to have sex. But then
Mm-hmm.
my verses kind of contradict it because at the second verse I'm talking through another person talking about the idea of like falling in love and like, oh, this guy doesn't treat you as well as
Mm.
I could. And I'm like looking back at it now like you should have just doubled down on just being a whore, man, which I did do. I actually
Mm-hmm.
did do. I went back, so I posted this on Threads not too long ago. You can probably find it
Yeah,
on my
it rings a
Instagram
bell.
account.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I basically just doubled down. Like I'm like, no, not only am I going to have your girl cheat on you with me, but I'm gonna like I even ended it with the line like, remember when your girl looked into your eyes and said that she would be yours forever? Tragic. Like I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be a woman stealing whore, then I need to double down on the lyrics and really like
There
push it
you
in there.
go. There you go. With your whole chest.
Whole chest.
Whole chest. I
Whole
love
chest.
it. We're gonna transition a little bit.
Mm,
Um, Today's story is about a, a person's first time living on their own. Do you remember the
mm.
first time, you know, flying the coop and having your own place?
No. um, so the closest I think I really had to that was when my mom had passed away back in
Hmm.
2018. It was really just myself and my other brothers living in this apartment. So that was really like the first time where we pretty much lived
Mm-hmm.
without like any sort of parental figure to kind of guide us through. And we were able to kind of like do it pretty well for like the first year or so, but then like
Mm.
the second year comes by and like some of us end up losing our jobs and it just
Oh
like
man.
ended up becoming harder and harder. And it got to the
Hmm.
point where, and I've never told anybody that's even close people, but it got to that point where we were basically going to get evicted.
Mm.
So we ended up splitting up after we ended up like leaving that city, and now we're all in the same city again, but we live differently. My I, along with my other brother, live with my dad and stepmom and my two younger brothers, and the other
Mm.
boys live in a, I think like an apartment, like an apartment or like a hotel over in like a different part of the town.
Mm. I see. Do you guys get together often or?
Well, I mean, I work with one of my other brothers, but
Oh,
we don't really have the time to kind of
right.
mingle like we used to.
Mm. That's so nice that you guys are at least, I guess in the same area code again.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
stray too far.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So I'll introduce today's story. All names of people and places have been changed. So don't sue me if it sounds familiar.
Yes,
Um,
any stories that you may hear, if it sounds like it's related to you, it is likely a coincidence, and we are
it is a
legally
coincidence.
required to
Yes.
say such thing.
Is, fine print there.
Yes.
Um, so this story comes from our friend Kate.
Hmm.
And obviously, welcome to interject and add your comments whenever you feel the need. Um, so when Kate was 17, she got a job a bit away from her father's home. There were some changes in her father's home, and she just needed to get out. 17 is a rough age, huh?
Yeah, 17, you're like not even an adult. I mean, you can't even like actually have your own like regular ass driver's license. You
Right.
presumably, depending on when this even happened, you can't even smoke a cigarette. Not that you should anyway, but there's just so many things that you can't really do just yet. Like when you're under the age of 18, you are like still like living in a rather like restrictive lifestyle because there's a lot of things that you still can't even like do. Like you technically couldn't even really live on your own legally without being emancipated, which I'm sure is just its
Right.
own can of worms anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I was not quite a troubled child at 17, but that was when I got my first tattoo, which was illegal. It was,
Oh, you evil monster.
I know. It was in, so like I just had that tattoo bug, I was just like, I'm gonna be that girl. And obviously
Yes.
my parents were like, absolutely not. So I found like a friend in my class in high school who was just kind of ghetto. And
Just a bit ghetto.
yeah. And so I was like, I need you to hook, and like I honestly I didn't really like hang out with her too much before that or speak to her too much, but I was like, I know she has some questionable connections. So I asked her to hook me up with a tattoo artist, and we went to this place in like a very sketchy part of Boston, and for $30 in this guy's kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my
I hope it
first
was a
tattoo.
sterilized kitchen.
Um, you know what? I honestly
You know
don't
what?
really know, but
You're still alive and
I'm,
thriving, and you have a
yes,
family, so that's all that matters.
exactly. I am alive. I'm thriving. I've had blood tests done since, and nothing comes up, so I think we're good. But that is
Nice.
a time in my life that if I could wind back time, I would probably tell myself to chill out for another 6 months until I was 18.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's always just that, that desire of wanting something and then feeling like you're limited and you'd be like you think that you have like your brain kind of tricks itself into thinking that you have a limited time to do this before something happens, when in reality it's
Exactly.
often the opposite. Ironically, you probably felt like you had like didn't have enough time to be able to get it, which
Hmm.
in turn you actually did. It was less about like thinking that you weren't going to get it, more of just be like a matter of impatience of, I really don't want to wait. I kind of want to just get this over with and just get it
Exactly.
now. I want it now and I want it now.
Exactly. It's my money and I want it now.
Yes. Now, see, I'm a bit of a goober. I pretty much waited for like a lot of the stuff that you have to be of a certain
Mm.
age to get. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
get my license until I was 19. I didn't get my piercings until actually, I think I got them last year. So
Mm.
I didn't get them until I was 24. I didn't drink until I was 21, like the day of that I turned 21. Which, fun fact, I don't know how it is in your state, but in my state, you're allowed to actually buy an alcoholic beverage the day before you turn 21.
Oh, interesting. I'm actually not sure about Massachusetts laws, but I know I was drinking illegally before
Yeah,
21.
yeah.
I
Which,
can
I
tell you
mean,
that.
hey, yeah, it's like they can't stop. Who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you from saying that?
Right.
There's also fellow East Coaster, I see. We can cheers
Mm-hmm.
to that.
Yeah, cheers.
Let's cheers whatever you're drinking and whatever I'm drinking.
Exactly. All
What
right,
are
so
you drinking right now?
what are you drinking?
I already told you what I'm drinking. I'm drinking a zero sugar Dole powder drink thingy, but I poured it in a cup because I'm feeling fancy. What about
That
you?
sounds delightful. I am having a nice cup of peach tea.
Ooh,
I've
ugh,
already had
actually,
my coffee this morning, so
yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
good on
say,
the caffeine.
yeah, I'm
We're
glad
going
you
herbal
drink the
now.
tea. You can drink on my behalf because I am not a tea guy at all.
All right.
Oh dear, this is where I get kicked off the podcast.
No, no.
It's like,
All right,
okay,
well,
well, I'd like to
let's
thank Justin for coming out.
Okay, end of recording. Bye.
Well, fiddlesticks.
Oh. All right, well, let's get back to the story then.
Hmm.
So, because I'm having too much fun, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay,
Same
so
here.
Kate is 17
Hmm.
and she leaves her father's house and she gets a new job. Um, there were about five other employees at that job that were around the same age as Kate. And at the training class, Kate meets Bev. Bev is short for Beverly. She
Okay,
had
gotcha.
yeah, she had very short hair, masculine inflection, style, and mannerisms. So Bev is going to be another key player in this story.
Gotcha. Also, I'm glad that you specified Beverly. I thought it was going to be short for beverage.
I know. We're talking about drinks. Good segue.
Yes, very good segue.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that.
No
So,
problem. I'm here all night.
yeah. Bev was one of those people who wanted to be liked so badly, just really wants to be popular. Do you know
Hmm.
this kind of person?
Do they? I believe the younger kids refer to them as pygmies. Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily a pygmy, but well, you
Right.
did
I'm
say
not,
that they desperately wanted to be popular, so
yeah. So
attention
it could,
seekers.
yeah, it could be just that Bev like really just wants friends rather
Yeah,
than
or
being,
probably
popular.
not even really friends. Probably someone that can like, you know, maybe she just sought validation.
Absolutely. So Bev wanted to go out of her way to have any excuse to talk to Kate or any of the other similar aged employees. Um, Bev was kind of annoying, but Kate really needed someone to split the rent with and figured if she stayed in her room, she wouldn't really need to see Bev much. So Bev and Kate go apartment hunting. They look at a few places, and one was this in an area we will call Feather Knoll. Um,
Hmm.
I'm just going to let you know it's kind of, we are in a Western New England city. So that sets the
Feather
place a little
Knoll.
bit. Feather Knoll.
Yes, I'm gonna pretend like I have any idea of what that could be or what that
Ah,
even
yes,
entails.
Feather Knoll.
Yes, Feather Knoll, the mystery.
Oh.
Oh,
So,
Feather Knoll.
yeah, a little background on Feather Knoll. It is the fifth largest neighborhood in a city known as the largest city in Western New England, that has its beginning as an isolated mill town in the 1840s, which basically explains any and all Western New England towns, I think.
Philadelphia?
No, no. Actually, I'm not gonna say anything more, but
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we
not, yeah,
shouldn't
not
answer
that
that.
far west.
We're not ready to dox this person just yet.
Right, right.
That's at the end of the show. That's a disclaimer, by the way, with that we are not going to reveal your information.
Absolutely not. You can guess, and you can try to figure out, but
You'll just be
that's
like,
not
that's
part of
an
this show.
interesting guess.
So in Feather Knoll, Kate and Bev find a big old three-story house. It's right on Main Street, and it's across the street from a gay bar and next to an old theater that was converted into a church. Um, with
Oh no.
mine, yeah, with my knowledge of New England houses, I am picturing like, do you remember I don't know if you've seen AHS, American Horror Stories, but the first one was it called
Nope.
Murder House?
Have not seen the show at all.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's a very like Victorian style house, if
Hmm.
that's the image I have in my mind. But it's a very old house. So the house itself wasn't great. The floors are uneven. Its structural integrity is very questionable. It looks like it could collapse at any moment. But this was Kate's first place on her own, and 1,500 square foot, two bed, one bath floor of this massive house for around 650 a month. How do you feel about
Whew.
that? Yeah.
Well, I was hoping, I was thinking I was gonna get set up for like a part where it's like, okay, like the floors are awful and it's just terrible conditions and rent is about like 2,000 a month. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
I was halfway
Six
expecting that. I mean,
650 a month.
yes, and I'm sure there's probably lead in the tap, but hey, I mean, 650 a month. I mean, what can you really get? I mean, at this
Right.
point, given her, situation,
Mm-hmm.
beggars can't necessarily. Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, when you're in a very a situation like that,
Mm-hmm.
when you're desperate to at least have a living condition, and with what you can reasonably afford, you have to cut your losses, and even if that means potentially getting, I don't know, scurvy or like tetanus.
Right, right. It's in the contract.
Yes.
So, another piece of background. This is an older story. Kate hasn't been 17 for quite a while now, so you know that might explain the 750 a month rent a little bit.
Yes, I was gonna say. I mean, I think naturally it would make sense that eventually she would no longer be 17, just given
Yes,
time and
yes.
whatnot. But
Exactly. And
so,
hopefully, well, I can tell you for sure that she no longer lives in this house.
thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord. All right.
Yes.
So, Kate and Bev decide on this house and they move in. Bev is like super duper clingy and wants to be doing whatever Kate is doing.
Uh,
Yeah, great. Remember, Kate didn't really like Bev and only wanted someone to split the rent with. She didn't mind being regular friends with Bev, but Bev is looking for like BFFs with Kate, if not more. Seems like
oh
maybe,
no.
yeah. Bev has a bit of
And
a, yeah.
this is the line right here. It's basically
Uh-huh.
and they were roommates.
Right, right.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Yeah. So Kate starts to notice some weird stuff going on with Bev. Uh,
Uh, I was gonna say weird how, but I'm sure you're
Weird
probably
how,
gonna
here we
get to that
go.
part. You're
Um,
making it very suspenseful.
yeah. Bev would have excuses to have like drama, like daily drama, just like weird things happen, which is another, I guess, the pick me thing.
We'll call them Bevisms.
Bebisms, I love it.
Yes,
Bebisms.
Bevisms.
So these Bevisms go on for like 2 months, which, my gosh, Kate, you've dealt with so much.
Yeah, that's basically what was she paying 650? That's $1,300 worth of drama right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
So, but Bev gets kind of used, no, Kate gets kind of used to Bev and her shenanigans, right? The Bevisms. They work at the same place, but Kate makes sure to take different shifts, and they are at the apartment at different times, so not too much overlap. So
That's a
she's
good
putting in her
call.
work to stay away from Bev. One day, Bev lets Kate know that she is going to pick up her sister Jill from like Ohio or Illinois or somewhere far away. Um, Kate didn't even know Bev had a sister until this point. But Kate's just like, whatever, another Bevism. Jill is just going to be staying for a couple days. Not my problem.
Oh, and that was your first mistake, assuming that it
Hmm.
would only just be a couple days.
Yes, ma'am. So Bev returns with Jill and introduces her to Kate. Kate guesses Jill is like 15 years old, like definitely under 18. So Kate and Bev themselves are barely 18 too, and Kate is not interested in being responsible for a minor. I don't blame her.
Reasonably so. I mean,
Reasonably
you
so.
just got out of like a, you just became an adult, and not like you like
Right.
I just barely turned 18. I'm not trying to raise a kid yet,
Exactly.
especially when I'm still trying to get my shit together.
Exactly. Kate has her own shit to do.
Yeah.
Well, Jill ends up staying with them for 2 whole months.
Oh my God, that's another 1,300.
Right, racking up a bill.
Yes.
So Jill does some babysitting work for the people who live downstairs. Kate's like, great, whatever. She's doing her own thing. I assume if she's doing babysitting, then she's contributing to the rent. I hope.
Yes, but
Uh,
even then, at 15, the idea of someone can having to contribute to rent, while I understand that, yeah, she's living there and, obviously they can't accommodate the debt that
mm,
comes with another person living in there. A person at 15 years old should realistically not be having to deal with like any sort of financial burdens.
totally, totally, absolutely. So this goes on for a little bit, but then Jill gets bored. And Jill makes some new friends with local hooligans who are around her age, and she invites them back to the house without consulting Kate. I don't know if she consulted Bev about it, but Kate doesn't know. Kate returns from work to find her apartment filled with a bunch of strange kids, so all around, 15, 16, on her furniture, smoking weed and watching her TV.
Oh,
How
I
would you?
thought you were saying that they were watching a show called Her. I'm like, what?
Oh, no, no, no. Well, they're watching Kate's TV that she bought.
Ah, I can
How would
only
you feel
imagine what
about,
they were watching.
yeah. How would you feel coming home to a room full of kids you don't know, doing drugs and watching your TV on your sofa?
Well, I think the most reasonable response would just be to come home after a long, stressful day from work. I open the door, I see a bunch of kids smoking pot, watching TV, and then I would respectfully say, "Who the fuck are y'all in my house? Y'all need to get the fuck up out of here right now." Respectfully, of course.
Absolutely. That is basically what Kate says. She tells them they need to leave. It's not okay for them to be there. They leave, but that was not the end of it. Are you ready for this?
Uh-oh. What did she
Uh-oh.
do? What did the youngin' do?
So it turns out those kids were part of a local gang called the FKP, the Feather Knoll Posse.
Oh, what the hell is this? The fucking what was that? What was that book called? Do you remember reading a book back in high school? The fucking what was it called? They had like a character named Ponyboy, The Outsiders.
Yeah, the Outsiders.
Fucking feather and old posse, bro. I would laugh. Sorry,
So,
I grew up in the hood. I would
mhm.
laugh.
Yeah, so all right, I'm gonna give a little bit more background about this place. So Feather Knoll Posse is obviously a name that I have. Well, Feather Knoll is a name that I have changed, but two-word city and the word posse is the actual name of this gang that apparently exists in this Western New England area. So
Sounds like a bunch of white kids.
probably
Sorry,
sounds
no
very white.
offense to the white listeners out there or
Right.
anything, but if your group is comprised mainly of just like white kids, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, so don't mess with the FKP.
Yeah, clearly. Are you down with the FKP? Yeah, you know me. Please. I knew
So
three kids
upon
back then that would
learning
easily
this,
knock
right?
out the posse.
Yes. Upon learning this, Kate is stupefied. Like, what the hell? How could Jill be so dumb getting involved with a gang and then inviting them back to a place that isn't even hers, really? She's not on the lease.
And on top of that, to do it in such a short amount of time because she's only been in that area for like what, 2 months at this point?
Exactly. So has it been 2 months, or is it within these 2 months that she starts hanging out with these weird people?
Well, I mean, it would have to be within the first 2 months. I mean,
Mm.
if Beth had picked her up from like she came from Ohio, and you said that two
Mm-hmm.
months had passed because that's how long she had been there doing babysitting,
Right.
and then she expresses getting bored,
Mm-hmm.
and then somehow I'm assuming she probably met one person, and that person
Mhm.
probably just so happened to be part of the the Feather Knoll posse.
Exactly.
I'm sorry,
So
that shit sounds so hilarious.
it's hilarious, isn't it? The initial
Yes.
name is not so it's not much better actually. I'll
Sounds like
DM it
something
to
I'd
you
read from like
later
a
after the recording.
yes.
I'll give
I'm
you
sorry,
the
it gives me like vibes of like something that I would have read back in like the eighth grade. I'm like, Neo was confronted by the Feather Knoll posse, all of them with their sleeves rolled up, ready to give him a pounding. Right?
basically. So Kate wants Jill to cut the shit and just leave the apartment immediately. She's just like, you need to get out. The next day, before anything even comes of Jill, the FKP return to the apartment while Kate and Bev are out and completely raid the whole place. The TV, subwoofer, some CDs, tons of stuff is gone.
Damn, the subwoofer and the TV. So like we can date this. This was like maybe 2007, 2008,
Yes.
possibly.
If not a little bit earlier, I think.
Yes.
I don't know.
We need
My
to ask
timeline is
ourselves the
yeah. Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to ask ourselves the real question. Is this pre Wall Street crash or post?
uh I want to say post.
Okay, so after
Not sure.
2008.
I think maybe. Don't actually undo that. Don't quote me on that. I don't know my timelines.
We will not.
We
That's
will.
funny because I keep asking more questions. But when did this take place? And like we're trying to keep these anonymous. Well,
Well,
you are
no,
anyway, and I'm
if
failing.
I, you know what, I need to do more market research because my timelines and my history is not very good. So, anyways, all right, house has been ransacked, tons of stuff is gone, and remember, this is like Kate's stuff that she worked to buy with her money as a 17-year-old living on her own for the first time. So Kate immediately goes out to get a lock for her room and installs it before she leaves for work the next day, right? She's going to save whatever stuff that, she can salvage.
Yes.
Well, the FKP return again and they find that Kate's room is locked and they are absolutely pissed. They take their anger out on Bev's room. They piss all over her blankets, mattress, floor, everything.
Dude, man, I can't believe her room was locked. I'm so fucking mad, bro. I was trying to steal shit.
Exactly. I mean, Feather Knoll Posse, they're all like 15, 16. It
Goodness
tracks.
gracious. And it's kind of interesting when this all kind of ties back to how Kate here, our lovely protagonist,
Mm,
is, someone who was 17 and for whatever reason had to leave her home
mm-hmm.
and is now kind of in a way having to, deal with other people who probably also presumably have some sort of parental issues
Right.
themselves. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
different path though, because I'm assuming Kate had to, probably felt like she had a reason to leave, whereas
Right.
these other kids are kind of just, badass little kids.
Absolutely. They just want to do hood rat stuff with their friends.
Yes. And God forbid. If my mom lived in Feather Knoll, they wouldn't even be
Mm,
a posse.
mm-mm, mm-mm, absolutely not. So so they took their anger out on Bev's room, which turns out they had come into the house through Bev's window, which she left unlocked.
Wait, so I'm confused. So did they raid the place and then come back the next day?
Yes. So
So,
here's the timeline. They raid the place first, take the TV, take the subwoofer, and then Kate is like, "Ah, fuck this." And so she gets a lock for her own room and puts the lock on her own room. I guess they, locked the house too when they left. But
yes, but where's Bev though in all this? Bev
that
hasn't been mentioned, and why would she leave her window open if the place that had they just had their stuff raided?
hmm
Why would she leave her window open?
um my only guess is that this is another Bevism.
Possibly. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure this
Right.
story is legit, so we can't have plot holes here.
Right, right. I mean,
Ain't that crazy?
from the background we have so far of Bev, it seems like she's not all there and she's not very smart.
Oh, Bev.
Oh, Bev. Um,
Bev, you
yeah.
fucking idiot.
So we're nearing the end of the story. Clearly, Kate is not dealing with this anymore. I think as Kate is probably also thinking that the FKP are only going to escalate because they are so upset. Um, and so she's done with Bev and Jill entirely. She's like, I'm getting out. This is not worth it. 650 rent in this crooked old house is just not worth it. So the
Yeah,
next
getting your
day,
shit rated by like a
mm-hmm,
bunch of kids you'd find on like Andy Griffith.
right, right. So the next day, Kate has her friend Nick come by with his truck, and she took whatever remaining belongings she had and moved them to the house of another coworker that she said she'd let Kate stay temporarily until Kate could find a new place. So goodbye, Bev. Goodbye, Jill. Goodbye, Feather Knoll Posse.
Rest in peace to the Feather Knoll Posse, if they
Yeah.
still exist.
Yeah. So we have
Mm,
we have no idea what happened, what became of Bev and Jill. I hope they find themselves back on a better path because FKP does not seem very lucrative.
yes, and Kate, if you happen to be listening, first of all, thank you for submitting your story to Cup of Chocolate, but also
Hmm.
we would like a follow-up. We really need to know what happened with Bev and Jill and this weird Andy Griffith. We're gonna go ahead and beat you up kind of gang.
Absolutely. Yes. Kate, if you want to give us an update, if you have any information on Bev and Jill, we would love to hear it.
Yes, if you have any updates about the Feather and Knoll posse, we would love it if you sent it
Mm,
here through our the email for the podcast.
yes. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Justin. How did you
No
enjoy that
problemo.
story?
It was very interesting. I will say I was kind of hoping for a little bit more at the end, but I mean,
Mm,
these I have to remember these are real stories. This
yeah.
isn't like something that's like hopefully these are, stories that people are not just writing and
Mm,
taking the piss out of. Because I can assure you
absolutely.
the story that I submitted was certainly not fictitious.
Yes, your story is a really good one too. We will hear it soon.
Yes. I feel bad for the sap that had to listen to that one.
No, no, no. It was very enjoyable. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem.
And I hope you can come join us again. And if you have any other stories, please send them in.
Yes, definitely. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I would certainly love to be a regular on here. Just be like, hey, it's me again.
Yes, yes. Let's do it.
Yes, only, of course, if I didn't disappoint with my first appearance here.
No, no, it was excellent. Thank you so much. And we will catch you again. Bye
All right.
bye.
Love you all. Bye bye. That was fun. Hope we get to do it again. Oh, it's just me. Um, well, hello. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Cup of Chocolate or Chocolate. Sorry, I keep trying to pronounce in German or whatever.
Thank you for listening to Cup of Chocolate. If you have a story to share with us, some juicy gossip, or you want to come on the show with me and be part of the conversation, DM me at our Instagram account at @MarkCupOfChocolate. This podcast is a labor of love by yours truly, but can't exist without your support and engagement. Let me know your thoughts and feedback. I'm Shoko. Join us again next week for another Cup of Chocolate.